will happen in your life when you have the courage to speak your truth. If you are not speaking your truth right now, if you are holding back, if you are playing small, if you are outright lying, what you are doing is you are blocking the flow of amazing things into your life experience. If you are not bold and brave to really share how you feel, you're going to miss out on so much of the magic that is available. And I just had one of the most magical experiences, and I want to share it with you because it was totally unexpected, but expected at the same time because I'm so used to these things. So here's what happened. 2 days ago, I did a meditation. I've been meditating a lot this week. And in the meditation, I got told really clearly by my guidance that I needed to go camping this week. Now, that's not something I usually do by myself, but I trust what the message was. So I said, okay. So I made a plan for today to come camping. So I've got my tent in my car, drove to a random forest. I asked my guidance, where should I go? It told me a place. So I just came here. And I said to the universe, I am open to being guided. I'm open. Guide me, take me on a journey. I'm excited to see who we meet, what happens. Isn't that a fun game? So what happened? Well, I needed to get my hair cut because this Saturday is our first live event again in London. We're allowed now legally to do live events. So I needed to get my hair cut. So I just said, guide me, show me, where should I get my haircut? I was just driving on the way to this random forest. So if you believe anything is random, which I really don't. So the first hairdressers that I went to, it was like appointment only. Second hairdressers that I saw, I went to and they said, yeah, we have a slot. We have a guy. He's available right now if you come in quickly. So I was like, great. This is where it gets good, by the way. So the guy says, have you got a mask? I said, do I have to wear a mask? He said, no. I'm like, cool. So instantly, I'm like, have a good vibe. So I sit down and then he asks me a question. He says, what are you doing? And this is where speaking your truth comes in. When you go to the barbers or the hairdressers or whatever you interact with someone like this, do you just be polite or do you be real? I decided to be real. I said to him, I'm actually going camping. I did this meditation. My guidance told me I needed to go away. It said, if I go into the woods, I'm going to get a big upgrade, but I have to be in nature to get the upgrade. So that's quite out there, right? He probably doesn't hear that very often, but that was my truth. And so he then says, wow, that's really interesting. Like, tell me more. What kind of meditation do you do? And then he said, was it one of your guides that told you to go? And boom, I'm like, we're having an actual real deep 5-dimensional conversation, right? He's like, this hairdresser in a random small town in the middle of nowhere like knows about guides. Oh, this is interesting. I'm just walking through this forest. Look at this random, if anything's random, statue. How interesting is that? So we start talking about guides and he says he wants to get into meditation, and that was really cool. And then he asked me, what do you think about aliens? He said, I read this thing the other day about aliens. And then we got just deep, right? Turns out we agree on so many of similar things. I've now added him into one of my groups. I mean, we resonated on so many things. He's a super cool guy. If you're watching this, then absolute legend. And I made an intention yesterday, if anyone read my post from yesterday, where I made a post about 20 things I really believe in, 20 beliefs that I hold right now. I said, I'm calling in my soul family. I'm calling in my tribe of people who get what we're doing here, who are on the same wavelength. And then in a random hairdresser's, I meet this guy. How cool is that? I could have very easily just said, yeah, I'm okay, not bad, yeah. What's the weather like? What, like, but that's what some people do, right? Speak your truth. You will be surprised at what can happen when you are bold enough to speak your truth. Because you will, when you shine brightly, when you send out these messages, when you speak, that's a vibration and people feel it. They feel it physically. They also feel it more subtly too. And every word you speak and every thought that you think, that is a vibration that goes out. It's energy that goes out. And energy can never be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. So what does that mean? When you send out a word, that energy goes out forever. Forever. When you think a thought, that energy goes out forever. And it starts to collect with like thoughts, right? It gets attracted to these other similar vibrations. This is how stars are formed. If you think about it, right? Stars, we're all made from stardust. You're made from stardust. The metals in your blood, they came from a star that exploded sometime. It's pretty cool, right? So stars explode and then the matter gathers again and then they make new stars. So if you dare to speak your truth, you will attract your tribe. You will attract people who really get you. And how great will your life be then? If your life is not where you want it to be right now, I'm going to challenge you, and you might not like this, but it's my truth. You're probably playing small. You're probably lying. You're probably not being 100% who you are because you're scared, because you don't want to offend people, because you don't want people to think that you're weird. And I just want to say, I've been through all of that too. Even yesterday, I had that came up for me, and I spoke about it with my wife today. Because when these things come up, I like to talk them through with my wife. This is a really cool woods, by the way. I'm just going to find a random place and camp. Oh, I think I found it. Check this out. I think I found my camping spot. Look at this. Is that not a perfect little camping spot? So there's the path. I think that's where I'm going to be tonight. Anyway. So yesterday I made this post. 20 core beliefs I had. I just had to. Something inside of me was just screaming, be more honest, tell people how you feel, stop talking about BS, right? Just be real. And so I made it. And then one guy commented, and he said, if you don't believe in that humans evolved from apes, how do you think we got here? And I got really uncomfortable because this is in public, right? This is on Facebook. And like, if I actually share what all my research has taught of how we got here, some people are going to think I'm insane. And so I know a lot of you already have seen my posts, so you know I share pretty out there stuff, but the theory of how humans got here, that's a whole new level. And I just thought, wow, this fear's come up. How cool. So I did it. When I feel fear, I do the thing. If you're afraid of something, it's usually because there's some big expansion there for you, right? And so go into it, right? If you're afraid of public speaking, go into it. If you're afraid of making videos, go into it. That's probably one of your core skills you're here to do, right? And so I did it. So I shared with him the work of Dr. Greg Braden and the work of David Wilcock, and about science has shown now that human DNA, it did not mutate randomly. So there's a time about 260,000 years ago where our DNA changed, because they have access to all these different fossils and things now, right? So there's a time when our DNA changed in a way that is not possible naturally. Something manipulated our DNA, something shifted it. Had to be unnatural, or well, what we perceive to be supernatural. And so there's lots of theories about this, and this is where it becomes science. That's fact, that happened. Then you explain it. So the ancient Sumerians, they have these different kind of creation stories. They talk about this race of beings called the Anunnaki, who are an extraterrestrial race that came to Earth, and that the Earth is like a living library. The Earth is the library of DNA, and it's been coveted by many different extraterrestrial beings. So the Anunnaki came and they actually created humans. They're master geneticists. That's an interesting word. Master geneticists, and they created humans actually for fun and to work for them. So we were created as these slaves for this Anunnaki race. And that's been playing out since 260,000 years ago. Modern humans as we are, we didn't evolve from Neanderthals. That's been totally disproven now. We appeared fully formed, very similar to how we are now. Isn't that fascinating? So I shared that, I felt fear, leaned into it, and now I'm going to keep sharing it. Now I'm going to share even more. Now I'm just going all out because I know I'm going to attract, like that's something I really believe. I have direct experience working with non-physical beings. So you might call them angels, you might call them spirit guides, you might call them ETs. ET just means extraterrestrial, just something that did not originate on Earth. So there's loads of it. Humans can only see like 1% of the visible spectrum of light. I think we can only see 1% of the visible spectrum of the electromagnetic spectrum. We can only hear about 3% of the audible spectrum. We can only feel a very small percentage too, so what is going on? So what's happened here? I've just spoken my truth. I've just shared something that I believe in. Now, some of you will go and you'll research that and you'll go, wow, I didn't know that, Luke, that's really cool. You'll go and check out my post about the Anunnaki and you'll be like, wow, amazing. And then you hopefully will use that to empower yourself. It's a deep rabbit hole. And some of you might go, nope, I've had enough of this Luke Scott the third guy, I'm out. And that's totally cool too. You might just go, look, we're just not in resonance. But you know now. You know now. Isn't that nice to save time for everyone? If we all just know where we stand and what we believe in, and you can then choose who you want to interact with instead of lying. Lying's a very human thing. There's a great series of books called Conversations with God. And I've interviewed the author, Neale Donald Walsch, a few times. You can see that on my Luke Scott official YouTube channel. If you just type in Luke Scott, Neale Donald Walsch, you'll be able to see the interviews. And he talks a lot about how there are other races of beings that are way more evolved than ours, that live on other planets, and they don't have this need for lying, because in the fifth dimension, 5D living, these fifth dimensional beings, lying doesn't serve us. Lying's only something that you need to do if you're afraid. Whatever you need, if you imagine, whatever you need was openly available for everyone to see, how many people would want to help you? If you had some way of just knowing, because they speak through energy, they don't use words. If you had some way of knowing, like we meet and I can feel that you need food, of course I'm going to give you food. Right? Instead, we're in this reality where we have to ask, or we pretend we're not hungry because we don't want to inconvenience someone. Just as an example. Aren't we insane? And if we do that on that small level, how do we do that on a bigger level? It's pretty interesting. So check out Conversations with God. Check out Greg Braden. He has an amazing show and some amazing books. His show's called Missing Links. And David Wilcock has an amazing show, a couple of amazing shows actually. One's called Wisdom Teachings, one's called Cosmic Disclosure. That's all about aliens. Mind-blowing. And he has a load of books as well. And obviously check out my YouTube channel. Loads of cool stuff on there. And I'm just going to keep making more and more and more of it. So let me know if you're feeling inspired to speak your truth. Let me know if this resonates with you. Let me know if you think I'm insane. Let me know if you think I'm awesome. Let me know what you believe. And I dare you, I challenge you, I invite you to speak your truth more often. Shine more brightly. Make a post about your top 20 beliefs. Make a post about, or a video about what is really important to you, and you just see how fast your life will change.